This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It is Tuesday on the After Party Live. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. Please click the like button. If you haven't clicked subscribe, click it, click it, click it. Because we're collecting subscribers, we being me, and we're doing pretty well. So I'm looking to get to 2,500, and I think I'm almost at 2,300. So slowly but surely making our way, again, our being me, our collectively, right? It's like a group effort over here. Making our way to the 2,500 mark. Something really cool happened recently, and I want to make sure that you know about it. We have an amazing viewer, listener, fan of all three shows. His name is Wes. Wes, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Wes, hi. First of all, I saw you once again support the show with your $5 super chat. So thank you for that. Hugely appreciated. You also started a Facebook fan discussion board for the Mark Thompson show. Tell me more.
I did. I just thought because we do have so much interaction with the people in the chat and listeners and stuff. And, and only a small percentage of that gets heard because I know not everybody, not you, Mark, can sit there and watch the chat the whole time. There's other stuff going on. And some of those discussions could go further offline. And since Facebook's probably the most common place that most of the people are there to have, I thought that would be a good place. And I'm a member of many groups. And so I created a group and named it to Mark. And we'll see how it goes. We're slowly gaining listeners.
Well, I invited a bunch of people, so I'm seeing people join, and that's nice. And you know what's cool about it is you see the names fly by in the chat. You feel like you get to know people in the chat. You get to know their personalities. Maybe you get to know things they say about their health or what's happening in their life or whether they're going on vacation. So you kind of have a relationship just text-wise, seeing people's words on the screen and their name. But then when you take it to this Facebook forum, you kind of get to see, I see a little creature walking past you, a little dog. You get to see their Facebook pages. You get to put, more of their personality together with who they are. And I think that's really fun as well.
It is. And I'm hoping that we all have fun with it. And, if it gets out of hand, we'll take care of it. But right now it's pretty open and there's no restrictions on things or whatever. And we'll go. Hopefully it'll remain and be a fun place like the shows mostly are.
Awesome. Well, if the chat on this show and Mark's show and Nikki's show are any indication, it's going to be really funny and it'll keep me cracking up. So that's awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. And arguments are welcome, but just don't personally attack people and I think we'll be fine.
No, it's going to be great. It's just another wonderful addition. I'm glad you thought of it. And again, personally, now that I get to see your face, thank you for the contribution to the show, Wes. You're awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. You got to see it the other night. We did you guys did the live thing last
The live
Thursday.
meetup. Yeah, those are so much fun. And for the same reason as the Facebook page is fun, which is now an ongoing thing, to be able to interact with people and see these people that you've really become online friends with, which is such a weird concept, but it's true.
It's a little bit more intimate than when you guys are at KGO.
I think so. Well, at KGO, we knew you were there, and you were part of the conversation via phone call and maybe via text sometimes. But it wasn't the same, I don't know.
Intimacy.
Yeah, it wasn't the same level of interaction that we have here, which is one of the good things about the platform switch. I'll say that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on.
Feel free to join.
Bye, Wes.
Bye.
You can find it. Oh, wait, Wes. Oh, he went away. You can find it. I think it's called, I was going to tell you the exact name of it if you want to go search Facebook for the page. Now I have to bring it up. It is called Mark Thompson Show Fan Discussion. Mark Thompson Show Fan Discussion. And then in parentheses, broadcast daily on YouTube. It's a red logo. So that's how you'll find it on Facebook if you would like to join. All right. And again, thank you, Wes. $5 super sticker. Woohoo. Let's get into it because it is Travel Tuesday. Mark gave me the idea of going to the Croatian islands, so we will be doing that. But before we do, I wanted to make sure we got some stories in, like this one. Uh, and I know we talked about sea creatures the last time we were together, but now we've got a new fishy. A new fishy. Welcome to the world, new fishy. It's a type of dragonfish, and it's just been discovered, this new species. It's very thin and trim. It was found in the depths of Antarctic Sea, the Antarctic seas. The folks that work with William and Mary Batten's School of Coastal and Marine Scientists say this fish represents a species of Antarctic dragonfish. But they looked at its genetic material and they found it wasn't a match. So they renamed it Archotaxis goldae. They named it after the research vessel on which they were sailing when they found this fish. And it's called the Archotaxis goldae, the banded dragonfish. And it is a new species of fish. It's not abnormal to find a new species. Thousands of new species of animals are found every year. But it's kind of cool. We like to celebrate when we find a new one here on the After Party Live. This fish is described as very slender, with a wide snout and elongated mouth. It has enlarged ovoid eyes that bulge from its head. It's a pale brown color, but its bands are slightly darker. You can see there on top. Here's what they think happened. Because they know this from genetic testing, that the species diverged from other related species about 780,000 years ago. And this is at a time when the Southern Ocean had a layer of glaciers. So researchers hypothesize that a population of dragonfishes maybe got isolated within the deep trenches under the glaciers. They survived, perhaps, on food pushed in by the moving ice. And then once the glaciers retreated, this subpopulation had become distinct enough that it would be reproductively incompatible with the other types of dragonfish. And so we have a new species. That's what they think. The ARSV Lawrence Gold is the ship that researchers were sailing on. And it was decommissioned when the U.S. National Science Foundation didn't renew the charter's funding. So they say the loss of the gold, G-O-U-L-D, the gold, marks a setback for the scientific study of the Antarctic region. They're pretty upset, scientists, about this ship being decommissioned. They say that Antarctica is warming faster than anywhere in the southern hemisphere. There's untold biodiversity in this region. They are only beginning to understand it. So to have this ship taken out is not good. That's why they named this dragonfish after Mr. Gold, who the ship is also named after. Who needs teachers, Lori? Right? No, we don't need teachers. Who needs a stinking teacher? My kids need teachers. That's who need teachers. But there's the very first class now in the UK that is gone teacherless. There is an AI classroom that is set to open in London at a private school. It is the UK's first class taught by artificial intelligence instead of human teachers. They're coming for your job, Lori. They say the technology allows for precise, bespoke learning. Critics, of course, I'll call myself a critic of this, say the AI teaching will lead to a soulless, bleak future. It's at David Game College. That's a private school in London. They have the new teacherless class for 20 GCSE students. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Does anyone see that there's a problem with this? The principal says, or the college administrator says, that the AI teachers are more precise. GCSE, by the way, stands for General Certificate Secondary Education. So these are GCSE students that are taking this class. And they will learn using a mixture of artificial intelligence platforms on their computers with reality headsets or virtual reality headsets, as you can see on the left there. The platforms then learn what the student excels in and what they need more help with, and the lessons are then adapted for each student for the term. The strong topics are moved to the end of the term so they can be revised. The weak topics will be tackled more immediately, and each lesson student plan is bespoke to them. The principal, one of the co-principals, his name is John Dalton. He said there are many excellent teachers out there, but we are all fallible. He said, I think it's very difficult to achieve AI's level of precision and accuracy, and also that continuous evaluation. I don't have a problem with assessing kids, having them take tests or go onto the platform to see what they're strongest or weakest on. I don't have a problem incorporating technology into the classroom in ways that help teachers, that assist teachers, but to just have the AI be all you got, you don't have the teacher there, you don't have someone in charge or offering lessons or watching to make sure kids are okay. Are they coming in? Are they exhausted? Do they have marks on them? Right? Offering their personal experiences in addition to the lessons. Having passion about the lessons rather than just some weird AI voice. I want there to be some type of humanity involved. That's my thinking. I'm going to the chat. What do you guys think? Are you ready for AI class? Karen has it right. Why do we need such perfection in an imperfect world? Ren says accuracy. What about creativity? Thank you. Exchange of ideas. Yes. Learning to work interpersonally. Well said, Ren. Yes. All of that. Be aware, what's next? Replace the students with AI? Pretty soon, we won't need to send our kids to school at all. AI will handle it. No worries. West says the AI teacher could work, but only for very disciplined students, never for K-12. And I would argue, even if it's a disciplined student, okay, so I have a niece who's, I'm going to say she's brilliant. I believe she's brilliant. I mean, skipped a grade, she's amazing. And she's the kind of kid who they needed to make sure she had social interaction. She got her, we all achieve our self-esteem from somewhere. I think hers often came from doing really well in school, at the expense perhaps of social things. Didn't necessarily care about social stuff. But to make sure that she was a more well-rounded person, my sister made sure that she was always engaged in activities where she could have social interaction. So when you have a kid like that is a disciplined student, that maybe is ahead of her level or his level or what have you, and you put him in an AI class, that just goes even, it takes that interpersonal connection even further out. I know not every kid is the same. My kids aren't like that. So, but still, I can just imagine there would be a group of kids who would suffer for not having that connection with someone. Sandy says, that's it, people. More of our jobs are being replaced with AI. The robots are taking over. That's how it feels. Mo says, is the AI going to use the Trump weave as their method of instruction? I hope not. I would think the AI is above the weave. I don't know. Teacher Lori says, I do think AI is a useful tool and can be adapted to certain classes. These are not young kids. True. These are secondary kids, high school age. That's true. And I think you're right about it being used as a tool. But even in a college class, I want there to be some kind of interaction with a teacher. I mean, I just feel like that's necessary. Maybe I'm just behind the times. It'll take me a while to catch up. I don't know. B.A. Ware says AI wouldn't have been able to throw a chalkboard eraser at me when I fell asleep in class. Truth. Wes says this is more for college level, I think. And if schools are doing it, why pay for school when it can all be done for free? Exactly. Khan Academy, which we have used at our house, maybe when we don't understand something that was said in math class and we have to go over it and I need to help and I don't know it and I need the Khan Academy tutorial. Khan Academy, says Lori, is very successful if and only if students are self-motivated. Khan Academy was a first step toward this. Perhaps, yeah. Every time, says Be Aware, that I hear these kind of stories, I think maybe Ted Kaczynski was right on many points. Ugh, I hope that's not who we're taking advice from, though. Yikes. Teacher Lori says, teachers get educated in computer science. Be part of this change in teaching for some. Viewfinders, pretty soon the only job humans can take is a dishwasher. No, that's what the robots are for, right? The robots do the menial tasks. The humans do the tasks where we need to think and be human. Mars, my Algebra 2 teacher, would give you a pass for the day not to work if you picked up fast food for her. Wow. Well, I guess the AI has no issue with that. Yikes. I thought that was an interesting story. Can you imagine, though, going into a class? You know you have to be a self-starter, which is fine. But, why wouldn't you just do it at home? And what's the impetus to stay in the classroom? I don't know. Do you remember this story that we did recently about this postcard that was 121 years old? And it got sent to this building in the UK. 121-year-old postcard, and it had finally been delivered. Well, now we find out there's a lot more to this story. The postcard arrived at this address in Swansea, at the Swansea Building Society, earlier this month. And this woman still lives in the area. Her name is Helen Roberts, not far from her grandfather's childhood home. Her grandfather was a brother to Ewart, who was the sender of this postcard, and its recipient was to Lydia. The message on the card read this: Dear L, it was not possible to get the pair of these. I'm so sorry, but I hope you are enjoying yourself at home. I have got now about 10 shillings as pocket money, not including the train fare, so I'm doing all right. Remember me to Miss Gilbert and John, with love to all, from Ewart. This woman, this 58-year-old woman, had been tracing her family tree online, got a message after that postcard was first shared from a lady who'd seen the article on social media, put a name and address to the person the postcard was sent to into Ancestry, and then tracked her to this woman's family tree. She said, as soon as I saw the address and the name, I recognized it as being my grandfather's family home and a child, and Lydia being his sister. On Wednesday, Ms. Roberts and her sister, Margaret, met with Ewart's grandson, Nick Davies, and Lydia's great-granddaughter, Faith Reynolds. And look at this 121-year-old postcard leads to this family reunion. They met members of their extended family they had never heard of before, let alone met. The grandchildren of the sender and the receiver, or the addressee of this postcard. Robert says it's enabled her to close a few loose ends, ancestry-wise, and find out more about my grandfather's siblings. She said it's been great meeting up with Nick and Faith, who've got knowledge of their own families, and they've gained knowledge from our aspect as well. We're keeping in touch, we've exchanged emails, and we hit it off straight away. This family is scattered across the UK. They've got a relative in Canada. And everyone contacted her after this postcard was made public. She said the whole thing is mind-blowing. Not just the postcard turning up after 121 years, but how it connected or reconnected this family and how much it's gone virtual globally. She said it's astonishing. She said she's pleased she started building her family tree. It opened the door to this family reunion. And she said, if I didn't have that information in my family tree, then maybe I wouldn't have been contacted by the lady who did contact me. So she said it's something she'd encourage, a positive thing, a good feeling to find all this. And she said, I'd certainly recommend it to people to look into their ancestry if they're into that kind of thing. How cool is that? This postcard brings these long lost relatives back together. That's a feel good story, isn't it? I love that. Hey, if you love the pumpkin spice, they're looking for you. There is need for a pumpkin spice pundit to taste test the fall treats at Trader Joe's. It's a pumpkin spice pundit. You can make $1,000 by taste testing and reviewing the autumn treats at Trader Joe's. Haha, maybe that's my next gig, my fundraiser for Julia's European trip. Finance Buzz announced it's looking for someone to taste and evaluate all of the fall-inspired pumpkin palooza foods at Trader Joe's. The person they choose will be asked to review Trader Joe's products, including pumpkin waffles, cinnamon rolls, and more than 20 other pumpkin-flavored foods and beverages. The selected candidate for the side hustle will get a $500 Trader Joe's gift card to pay for the treats, as well as a $1,000 payment. The applications are being accepted through September 6th, so you've got 3 days to get your application in for the Pumpkin Spice Pundit. Oh man, that's a lot of pumpkin. I remember reading, though, that Trader Joe's, one of their best-selling things ever is their pumpkin ice cream. So whether or not you like pumpkin, I heard that's pretty good. You ready for the lotto of the day? Boom, let's do it. Lotto of the day. This is a man who was inspired to buy his ticket because of a TV commercial. He bought a Pick 5 lottery ticket in Maryland. He was watching football on TV when a lottery ad popped up, caught his attention. He said, "You ever have one of those days when everything is going right?" He said, "I was having one of those days, and then I saw a lottery commercial and I thought to myself, I'm gonna play." And so he stopped at Garisbeck's Buy Right in Baltimore, bought himself a $1 Pick 5 ticket for Sunday's midday drawing. He said a friend sent him the winning numbers later in the day, and he said, when I saw my winning numbers looking back at me, I thought it was fake. So I went back to the store to scan the ticket and saw that I actually did win $50,000. I thought he was kidding when he told me, the winner's mother said. When I saw it was real, I smirked and said, "Where's my cut?" That's right, Mom. The winner's putting his 50 grand into savings, but that day was really his day. He was right. I teased this a couple days ago, and then we didn't get to it. We're going to discuss now the god of farts. Did you know there was one? I know. I didn't know either. This is a Mayan deity, the god of farts, also known as the stinking one. His name was Apuk. Apuk. I'll type it out so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Apuk. Uh-oh, I lost the U. This is him. Yeah, he looks like he's letting one go right there, doesn't he? Yeah. Apuk. He is the god of earthquakes, also associated with flatulence, because that's what an earthquake really is, right? The air just kind of releasing a little gas. It's an earth fart, you could say. Archaeologists in southern Mexico have uncovered an ancient palatial complex that appears to have been dedicated to this terrifying Maya death god who ruled over a hellish realm, but was also the god of farts, known as Apuk or Sizin. He's a monstrous deity. It's been translated into stench, flatulence, or the stinking one. The discovery was made during the construction of a train station near the ancient Maya site of Calakmul, which was among the largest, most powerful pre-Columbian city-states ever to exist in the Maya lowlands. This according to the Mexican National Institute of Anthropology and History. This complex was most likely associated with a smaller settlement called Balamku, which would have been heavily influenced by the larger city Calakmul. So the complex probably dates to the early Classic period, which lasted from roughly 250 to 600 CE. And here is what they found. Look at that. Pretty cool. This temple, this ancient temple. Among the most notable structures present at the site, this small temple that researchers believe was built in honor of Old Stinky. Excavations reveal the presence of a circular feature within the temple, at the center of which were a number of, sadly, human remains, including teeth and fragments of skull. Alongside these leftovers, archaeologists said was a 9.8-inch high limestone statue of Apuk. The god of death and destruction, Apuk was believed to reign over a level within the Maya underworld known as Xibalba, which roughly translates as the place of terror. And according to legend, this deity was responsible for burning the souls of the dead, beginning with their mouth and anuses, for some reason. The archaeologists say the statue depicts Apuk with a large phallus and a deformed skull. The figure also appears to be sporting a skull mask and a nose adornment and a breastplate, in accordance with the usual depiction of the death god. The presence of the sculpture strongly, they say, indicates that the temple was intended as a place of ritual for the flatulent divinity. One can only imagine how it must have smelled in there when that place was actually in use. But that's what it is. Apuk's temple, found in the area of Mexico where these Mayan ruins were located. Yeah. Very interesting. I did not know there was a god of flatulence, Mayan or otherwise. Fascinating. I suppose it makes sense. Oh, B.A. Ware says, is Puk pronounced pew, like P-U? Ah, pew. Boner fart party is right, Heather. That's exactly right. Ah, pew, you farted. I'm telling you guys, I love you so much. I really do. I really do. Walter says Mayans had very colorful art. That's a great way to put it. Yikes. Ah, Puk, indeed. There has been a galactic incident, possibly the first one. Sadly, or maybe not sadly, we have possibly created the first human-caused meteor shower. Wait, what did we do? NASA's DART mission. I don't know. Should we be messing around with stuff like this? NASA's DART mission is which is a future tech made reality. In 2022, the mission demonstrated that it's not possible for humans to push dangerous that it is possible, rather, for humans to push potentially dangerous asteroids into a different orbit away from Earth. It did so by smashing a spacecraft into and then successfully changing the orbit of Dimorphos, the moon of asteroid Didymus. It was the first time humanity has ever moved a celestial body, but it might have actually done more than that now, we think, and created a future meteor shower. This car-sized spacecraft, sent at full speed against an asteroid about 490 feet across, the impact released boulders and a plume of debris far beyond the asteroid pair. DART was accompanied by a small CubeSat from the Italian space agency called Lycia Cube, which observed this collision. They have new simulations of the plume of debris based on the observations have revealed that Mars and Earth might both get bits of the Dimorphos delivered right to our front door. One of the lead authors of a study of this said one of the most exciting results from our simulations was the discovery of launch trajectories due to the DART impact of Dimorphos compatible with the delivery toward Mars. Based on early observations of Lycia Cube, a small satellite that flew with DART to separate just before the collision and observe the ejectocone, some particles could reach Mars in about 13 years. So, Mars and Earth could get these meteors produced by this impact. The findings suggest the future Mars observation missions might have a real chance of detecting meteors on Mars produced by this DART impact. Human beings just touched off a meteor shower. Does it? I mean, okay, so maybe we're not going to be hurt by this, but should we be messing around with things like this? I don't know. The team had to use a supercomputer. They simulated 3 million particles of various sizes at variety of speeds and directions. The particles moving about 1,120 miles per hour will reach Mars in over a decade, and some small chunks of Dimorphos might reach Earth in just 7 years because they move 3.5 times faster. Observations of the impact with telescopes have determined particles at such velocity would not be large enough to produce observable meteors. So, the work of simulations doesn't preclude the arrival of slower particles from Dimorphos to Earth. They'll just take a little while to get into the orbit of our planet and settle into a meteor shower. So they still think that this dimorphids, which is what they're now calling this meteor shower, dimorphids, will be easy to spot. Interesting. I don't know. I have questions. Some exciting news to report to you right now is that Luis has just thrown down a $10 super sticker. Julia Travel Fund. Thank you. You know what though? It's hard enough for me, Luis, to crowdfund this show. I realize that's the way it's done on YouTube. I'm trying to keep things going. I know you guys are supportive of that and I appreciate it. But to ask people for money for that, it's so uncomfortable. So I'll take on another job before I start a GoFundMe. But yes, or have her. I like the suggestion earlier to have her do a job. I have to tell you, she went on a band trip last year to New York. I don't know if you guys recall. And they were supposed to fundraise for this trip. And a lot of kids did the fundraising. But like me, she doesn't like asking people for money. So instead of going out and doing the fundraising, she just asked family members and then didn't fundraise enough for the trips that we ended up having to pay for. So that's what I'm worried about with, I'm going to call it, it's 6,700 something. I'm just going to call it $7,000 trip. And I want her to go. What a great experience this will be. Imagine getting to play with an orchestra in some of the oldest venues in Germany and the Netherlands. Like, wow, what a great experience. So I think it's a good idea for her to get a job. I like the suggestion, and I'm going to raise it to her this afternoon. I think that's wonderful. You know, Mark has Mr. Predicto, and thank you, Luis, for that contribution. You're super awesome. Mr. Predicto has come to the lab. There is a blood test now that can predict a woman's risk for cardiovascular disease 30 years before it happens. This according to a new study out of Harvard. The findings were presented Saturday at the European Society of Cardiology. They were published in the New England Journal of Medicine. They say a single blood test that measures inflammation and fat can predict women's risk of cardiovascular disease 30 years later. They tested 2 types of fat in the bloodstream, along with a C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, and it could move the field of cardiology closer to vital discoveries. One of the researchers said heart disease remains underdiagnosed, it remains undertreated in women, and unfortunately their current screening guidelines detect high-risk women pretty late in the game, well after prevention efforts should have been initiated. So they say cardiovascular disease is largely preventable, but they have to know what the underlying biologic problem is for the individual patient they're seeing in the clinic. And so they would need to intervene pretty early. The doctors don't treat what they don't measure, so the patients themselves may need to ask to have these 3 biomarkers measured in their 40s and not wait until they're in their 70s. The prevention guidelines need to change to endorse universal screening far, far earlier in life. This study was pretty extensive. The researchers collected blood samples and healthcare information from almost 28,000 U.S. medical providers enrolled in this women's health study. And for 30 years, they followed participants who entered the study between 1992 and 95 at an average age of about 55. During that time, more than 3,600 women experienced a heart attack or stroke or surgery to restore circulation or a cardiovascular related death. They evaluated all kinds of things, including low density lipoprotein cholesterol, a lipid partly made of LDL lipoprotein, to predict the occurrence of these events alone or collectively. They group people into 5 categories, ranging from the highest to the lowest levels to measure each of the 3 markers. And it turns out that participants with the highest levels of LDL cholesterol had a 36% higher associated risk with heart disease compared to women with the lowest levels. People with the most significant levels of LPA had a 33% elevated associated risk, and those with the greatest levels of CRP had a 70% heightened associated risk. And when they looked at all 3, people with the highest levels had a more than 1.5 times increased risk associated for stroke and more than 3 times raised associated risk for coronary heart disease compared to women with the lowest levels. So that they can look 30 years into the future, it's pretty incredible. That's definitely Mr. Predicto in the lab. I want to make sure that we get to this one story before we take our virtual vacation together. And that is this sinkhole. Can you imagine? You're driving along in a foreign country, you're seeing the sights. One minute you're on the road, the next minute you're inside the road. This elderly couple was injured after their car fell into this sinkhole. It opened up on a road in Seoul, and the SUV rolled over sideways, crashed right into this sinkhole. This happened in South Korea on Thursday. A 76-year-old woman suffered a cardiac arrest, had to be given CPR. Her pulse returned a little bit later. Not sure what injuries her 82-year-old traveling companion suffered. Their white Tivoli vehicle rolled sideways, crashed right into this sinkhole. It looked like the sinkhole opened up right before they drove onto it over the roadway. The pair were traveling along the road, headed toward a bridge when this hole opened up. The authorities there are now launching an investigation to figure out what happened. I can imagine that would give you a heart attack. Absolutely. They had to pull this vehicle out of the sinkhole. It looks like both the older woman and the man are going to be okay. But gosh, can you imagine that? How scary. It looks like a car-sized sinkhole is what it looks like. Yikes. So emergency services, they say they've been cleaning the site. The authorities say that it looks like they had to cancel celebrations in this area out of respect for the tourist who was reportedly on a holiday with her family. So, yeah, pretty scary situation. Well, from the scary now to Croatia. It is time for Travel Tuesday. Yes, it is. Let's do it. Here we go, off on our trip. Mark gave me the idea to visit Croatia and the islands of Croatia. Pretty beautiful. The first, and this is a list of the 13 best Croatian islands. This picture is kind of an overview. But let's go first to the island of Hvar. Oh, this is Hvar. Which, if you're a yacht owner, of course many of you are, you've probably heard of it. Maybe spent a few summers on its sun-soaked shores. But despite the reputation as the swankiest of Croatian destinations, Hvar is much more than just a drawing place for the famous and rich. There's some more modest coastal towns in this area where there's history and heritage and culture. So there's a lot of room for the rich and famous and for everyone else as well. There are more than 2,700 hours of sun every year, and Hvar is the place to visit. The next one on the list, there's Hvar. Next one on the list is this island. It's called Vis or V. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's a standout attraction, they say, is the island itself. It's like a dreamy haven. They have on this island a blue cave, which is supposed to be amazing to see. I have a picture of the blue cave as well, if you can see here. So this is one of the big tourist attractions here on Vis, V-I-S. Look at that. And kayak or inflatable raft paddle in the blue cave. That's one of the attractions here on Vis. It's a blue cave of Bisevo, right off the shore. Vis is the furthest afloat from the Croatian mainland. From 1950 until 1989, it served as the National Army base for Yugoslav, and it was out of bounds to foreign visitors, so we couldn't go here. It still has the air, they say, of an unspoiled paradise. It's so beautiful. There are two towns, Vistown and Komiza. Tourists like to go to the beachy areas and crevices along the rough coastline, and yes, the blue cave. Pretty cool. Third coolest island is known as Rab, R-A-B. Rob? It's just off the northern coast. Nestled in Kvener Bay, Rab is tranquil. It forks out into the Adriatic Sea. The first taste of its limelight came when King Edward VIII took his new wife Wallis Simpson there in 1936. He soon apparently cast off his regal garments and threw himself into the sea, according to the story. And that is what set off the nudist-friendly tradition. Rob has an especially calm, rustic vibe. Sheltering ridges, stunning beaches, untouched by turbulent mountain winds, small but lively town, terracotta rooftops you can see there, cream walls, church towers that soar into the sky. Every year, the island is swept up into a big party atmosphere. They've got a summer festival that they hold there, and it's supposed to be really, really fun. So that's the island of Rob. The next one is called Korčula. This has a lot of terracotta rooftops as well. I don't know. I'm liking all of these so far. I'm thinking I like Mark's vacation ideas. Again, here's Korčula. Pretty beautiful. Korčula came to be when the Greeks that originally set up camp on this island, they say they were so struck by the dense, dark forests that they called it Corcyra Melena, Black Korčula, now famed for its white wine, apparently the coolest, crispest kind made from its endemic posip grape. But the woodlands in this area still exist. The island is the second most populous in the Adriatic region, and it's a mix of quiet little neighborhoods and towns and vineyards that meet the woods and fishing villages along its winding coast. Korčula town is often called Little Dubrovnik because it has formidable medieval walls, but really cool attractions as well. There's a gallery dedicated to Marco Polo because they say he was born there. Although people in Venice disagree with that. There's a beautiful cathedral in this area. So yeah, what a beautiful place. The next island that we are headed to is the island of Brac. The waters on the island of Brac look absolutely incredible. And again, if I'm getting the names wrong, my bad. I don't know. There's a weird little umlaut over the C in Brac, so I'm sure that it's pronounced differently than I'm saying it, but we do the best we can. We being me. And so Brack is a short ferry trip away from the coastal city Split. Brack would be the largest of the central Dalmatian islands. It's got a population of about 14,000 people, got its own airport, and the highest mountain on any Adriatic island. It attracts a less glitzy crowd than Hvar, and it has a rich history. It's been inhabited since the Neolithic age. It has does a huge trade in olive oil. It's an arid place. It has rocky coastal spots. And one of the things they export is a natural white stone, which apparently architects really love. But look at that beautiful beach on the island of Brock. Next stop, Miljet. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so we'll just go with it. Miljet looks pretty special. There's a lot of history to see on this beautiful island. I think that they've got it right when they do the yacht and just travel from island to island, because all of these places look so incredible. Here's Miljet. Miljet is one of the most Eden-like spots in the Dalmatian archipelago. It's improbably green, it's lush, home to sea creatures that swim off the island's coast. Two salted lakes, Veliko and Malo Jezero, lure swimmers into their still waters. They have a delicious variety of goat's cheese and restaurants. Miljet is the name of it. This is beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Greece, which for good reason. This is the island of Cres, C-R-E-S, only one S. But it looks pretty cool. I would like to go here. I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes to the Cres. Here it is. The island of Cres. Pretty beautiful. Cres is kind of a oaky forests, cliffs that are majestic along the coastline. There's crumbling hilltop towns as well. So it looks like there's a lot of old things and old ruins here to see as well. There's a lot of birds, griffins. This apparently is quite incredible to see these griffins spread their wings and then swoop out over the sea as the sun sets over the Adriatic. Beautiful. Really beautiful. The next one, I'm saying yes to this beach because the color of the water looks incredible. It's Pag or Pog. It's about 40 miles long, the island of Pag. And it's really quite incredible. Here's a picture of Pag. You can load it and check it out. Look at that water. Isn't that incredible? It's got two parallel mountain ranges, a lot of sleepy little fishing villages. Novalya and Pogtown, its biggest little towns in this area. And Zersi Beach. It's home to the biggest club hub in Croatia. A lot of cultural heritage, fortified medieval streets beneath a 15th century Gothic cathedral, white stone pavement, and they hang Pog lace, which is crafted there. The local ladies, they hang Pog lace in the doorways there. So this next place looks incredible. It's called Dugi Otok. Dugi Otok. So it's one of these places where you could swim in the sea, or you could swim right in the middle here in what looks to be, to me, a giant lake. Check that out. Is that not incredible? Dugi Otok, the largest of the northern Dalmatian islands. It translates into Long Island. It's about 45 kilometers long and just 4 kilometers wide at its widest. Sheer cliffs, sandy beaches. The most famous of a beach is Sakharan. It's got a huge national park on the southeastern quarter. And Telasica Bay, one of the most stunning Adriatic beaches. You have to get there by a fast boat from the mainland. You can spend several days trekking and cycling the trails, scuba diving, climbing, or admiring the view from a local restaurant in this area. Yeah, pretty incredible. Look at that. I'm in. Are you guys going? We're doing it. The next island is Losinge. Losinge is the name of it. I don't want to leave this picture, but we kind of have to. Losinge looks cool. It's a little more populated, I think. Here it is. It's still pretty though, and a whole different flavor. Love how you go places and look at the flavor of this island, and then look at the flavor of this island. So different. Losinge used to be attached to Cress, which we saw earlier, until the ancient Liburni tribe dug a canal at Osir. The healthy effects of the sea breezes here, the clean water, and the sunshine earned Losinge an official designation as a health resort. In 1892, Habsburg royalty followed, and now tourism is the island's main industry. You can looks like pretty built up, so you can tell that. They have a couple of towns here. One is Mali, Losinge, which is small Losinge, and that's the bigger settlement. And then Great Losinge. It's the largest island town in the Adriatic with a population of 7,000. There's a long, wide harbor, you can see pictured here, with Habsburg era facades. It takes about 20 minutes to walk from one end of the harbor to the other. Nice waterside lined with great hotels, great restaurants, great bars. So that's pretty cool. But what if you wanted a place where maybe it was a little less populated, a little less going on? Well, then you would go to the island of Silba. And this place looks pretty nice. The island of Silba. And the sunsets are incredible on Silba. Here's a picture of it. Look at that. Beautiful. If you're listening via podcast, I'm sorry, I know this is a picture heavy portion of the show. When they say this is not the place for people that get angry if they get stuck behind someone who's slow, because it's a sleepy place. There are no cars here, no hotels, and between mid-July and late August, not even bicycles. You can amble along, but you can't go anywhere fast. They say this place is all about relaxation. So just know that when you're going to this island, you're going to chill. You're just going to bring some books. You're going to sit on the beach. You're going to hang out, because that's pretty much all there is to do. And you're going to move really, really slow. Silba. The name in English sounds bad. The next island is Murter. If you say it fast, it sounds like murder. Murter. But it looks pretty nice. Murder is at the opposite end of the Dalmatian island. They've got two settlements used as gateways to extremely popular summer attractions. Festival sites for music events like Soundwave, Sunsea Beat, Electric Elephant. They have lots of clubs, lots of things happening. At the northern tip of Murter, the largest town, is the main setting off point for a lot of trips to other islands in this area. They also have the Cornati National Park with its main office in this area. I think I have a picture of Cornati, which I thought looked incredible. Yeah. Here, I downloaded this picture earlier. This is Cornati in this area. Although that looks like what the island that we saw earlier, doesn't it? I think that's another picture of... Does it not look like this? Yeah, I think it is. Or maybe that's the national park we talked about there. That part of this whole island is the national park area. All right. So that's Murter. Shall we now go to the island of Kirk? K-R-K, no I needed. Kirk. It looks pretty nice. Kirk has a lot of terracotta roofs, beautiful water, It's incredible. Here's Kirk. I like it. Here it is. I'll show you this picture. It looks pretty busy, I'll say that. A lot going on Kirk. A lot of water traffic, a lot of buildings. Kirk is not, if not the biggest island in the Croatian Adriatic. It's one of the busiest. Nearly 20,000 locals call these islands in this area home. The main town, Kirk, reflects a lot of its historic patchwork. They say there's a lot of places to go out to eat here. It's known for its gastronomy, the beaches of Baska soaking up the high numbers of summer visitors in this area. So whatever you decide to do, you'll find a wonderful place to be in Croatia. Inspiring, pleasurable, fulfilling, great experiences. I tell you, I'm down with the Blue Cave experience. I think I could definitely go for that. So we've been now to the Croatian islands. Look at that. Oh, here's a bigger picture of it. There we go. And that, my friends, is Travel Tuesday. I hope you had a good trip. Because here we are, back in reality, ending the after party live. Oh no! Huge thank you to Wes for the $5 super sticker. Huge thank you to Luis for the $10 super chat and the nice words for Julia. And please make sure that you check out the Facebook page that Wes has put together, the Mark Thompson Show discussion page. That could be really a fun thing to do. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow. John Rothman returns to the Mark Thompson Show, so it'll be interesting to hear about his travels to Europe and what he thinks about the current state of the presidential election. I will meet you right back here at 11 a.m. on YouTube tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show, again, followed by the After Party Live. Some stories I didn't get to today that we'll make sure to get to tomorrow. I hope you guys have a really good day. Make it the very best that you can, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Yay, you have to send pictures.